The following programming is sponsored by Tom Toole III. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group.
Hello, Greater Philadelphia area. Happy Tuesday. You are listening to Tom Toole Real Estate Radio here on WWDB 860 AM. We are streaming live on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. You can just look us up at the Tom Toole Sales Group. We are the #1 RE/MAX team in PA since 2018. I am not Tom Toole. I'm Sarah Timon, and I've got amazing teammates here, Stacy Mitchell, John Rabik, and we've got Gabe behind the camera. So thanks for being here, everybody. We've got some interesting topics that we're going to dive into today, and we're going to start off with a Inman article that just came out yesterday. Where they say that home sales are projected to fall 16.2% in their new forecast. So economists at Fannie Mae were forced to revise their forecast for the year. They were saying that affordability remains a major constraint, and it's going to kind of push 2020 home sales downward. They go on to state a couple of different reasons why this happens, or why they're kind of re-looking at this. And this is a combination of both new home sales and existing home sales that are going to kind of pull these numbers together. So as they kind of took a look here at the year, they're now expecting 5.78 million homes to change hands. So that would represent a 16.2% decline from last year. The new homes sold at a pace of about 590,000 units in June, and that's the lowest that we've seen since COVID and that outbreak. And existing home sales are also going down to 668,000 from last month's forecast. So as we kind of look at those numbers, what do you guys have you seen in terms of inventory? Have you noticed an uptick, a downtick, anything with clients that you've been taking out or listing their homes?
Well, according to this article, the new home sales, the starts are definitely down. And I think a lot of that has to do with the new construction, with all the supply chain issues that we've had.
Sure.
The materials going up so high. A lot of builders pulled back, and they decided not to start new projects or just to finish up what they already have and just kind of wait it out and see what's going on. So to me, that makes sense. I also read in here that says June existing home sales were somewhat stronger than they had anticipated.
Right. Yeah.
So are they going to revise again, their numbers?
Yes. Yeah. So it certainly did say, June went up, but then as they were looking at the pending mortgage applications and everything for July, that there was a downtick there.
And I think that's when we had that little spike in the interest rates going up into the sixes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So to me, that makes sense too. And then the mortgage company realized, oh my gosh, our applications are down.
Right.
So we probably went a little too aggressively. So maybe we should pull back a little bit. And then the interest rates dropped somewhat.
Right.
So, and we did see when that happened, we saw some buyers coming back into the fold.
Yeah.
So I think that was a positive. Now the feds are meeting on Friday.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. There's been speculation already what might take place. But I think that for the most part, we're going to see interest rates holding because, the housing market is what's really helping the economy continue to move along, considering all the inflation.
Sure.
People have concerns about that. But what I'm seeing, it's been somewhat a little quiet. And I think that for the most part, a lot of my clients are on vacation.
Yeah, this is that little pocket where everybody's getting their last vacations in before school starts back up, and I've noticed that as well.
Yeah.
Last year, we really didn't have that slowdown after spring market.
Sure.
This is more of a traditional market, and I think one of the things to keep in mind is everybody wants to say there's a downturn. Really, I just like the word normalized. I mean, we're seeing normalization across the board, whether it's inventory, prices, the buying process, not just saying, I'll take that house, I'll waive everything, and I'll pay all the transfer taxes.
Right.
We're starting to see it get back to its more traditional way that we're used to doing business.
Sure. And I mean, now back in January, before the kind of changing of some of these interest rates, Fannie Mae economists were projecting that the sale of existing homes would only fall by 3.2%. which would have still been the strongest market since 2006. So, the mortgage rates are certainly playing a little bit of a factor in here, and they very aggressively had to change their prediction from back in January until now. I think one other thing that they kind of bring up, in addition to the mortgage rates, as you said, Stacey, the Feds are going to be meeting again. They're kind of predicting that rather than going up 75 basis points, they're going to keep it at 50 basis points. We're still trying to battle inflation. We're trying to get around a lot of, different difficulties that we're having here in the market. So, they are still predicting a little bit more of an uptick, but potentially not as much as what it could have been. So that'll certainly play a factor in both like short term and a little bit into the long term of where this kind of takes us.
I think the thing that has to be talked about also is the increasing rental costs.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is why I don't think that, there's still plenty of first-time home buyers out there looking, even considering the interest rates, because you have to start somewhere, and their rent is only increasing.
Right.
So, and the interest rates are still lower than the inflation rate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a win.
Absolutely.
So I think with the increase, the major increase in rents is driving first-time home buyers more to the house buying market.
Right. Well, and then we're also looking though at, sellers who are actually kind of experiencing like a lock-in effect where they refinanced, got these low rates, and now as they're looking at, where they would go if they would have maybe wanted to sell, they're looking at that rate that they have right now from refinancing back in like 2020 or 2021. Right. And they're like, I don't think so.
Payments are looking good.
Yeah.
Right. So overall, this article I think did make, quite a few good points. I think a little bit of it is not misleading, but like you look at that number, 16.2%, we're still, there are still a lot of buyers, a lot of sellers out there. There's still a lot of transactions that are going to take place and a lot of things that change hands here.
Right. Like life continues.
Right.
So people have to transact for different reasons. Downsizing, upsizing, people are, if their family's growing, they have to get into something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
If they're, empty nesters, they want to downsize. They don't need that gigantuan home with a lot of utility costs.
Sure.
Job relocations. Life goes on. So people are always going to transact, and it's always for different reasons.
Well, the sad part is even when we look at anything in the media, they always want to kind of call out the negative and the world's imploding and,
Yes.
you always want to see the heavyweight champ get beat, but they don't really spin it in the sense of there's opportunity out there to be had. And the opportunity may be less competition. The opportunity, especially in our area, I cover a lot of the city, it's definitely different based upon the pockets, whether you're in the city or in the suburbs where the opportunities lie. And in the city right now, there are a lot of opportunities for first-time home buyers because the inventory is there. So really, it's our responsibility as agents to make sure that the correct information is getting passed along. And I know that's something that we're all really good at, is getting that message across and really helping our clients to say, hey, there is a great reason to take advantage of this time frame. A year ago, I might have said, okay, I'll take a house just because it has 4 walls and a roof.
Right.
Or now you might be able to be a little bit more picky. You might say, well, I do want a 1/4 acre, or I do want an in-ground pool in the backyard. And you may have that opportunity to go and get it. And I think that also speaks back to what you had said, Tracy, about Stacey, I'm sorry, about
Okay.
about the new home construction inventory.
Right.
Is a year ago, some people just didn't want to deal with the paying over ask or the waiving of inspection, so they went the new construction route just because if it was there, it was first come, first serve, and you can't blame them. Now, some of those people might also be pulling back and getting into some of these different existing construction homes that they might have wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I
agree.
think something that we often touch on as well are, these are national articles, right? So in our specific area, we do have new construction, but it's not to the same level as, some other cities and some other areas here in the U.S. So, the new home sales definitely are still like a factor with us, but I don't think it is quite as huge as, maybe when you're out in one of your, I don't know, like Tucson, I feel like does a ton of just like new construction. So as you're kind of comparing markets, how that plays out.
Mm-hmm. And I think to John's point, like we have to be the knowledge brokers here. So we have to educate our clients on what's really going on. Like John said, when what comes up on your feed as far as the ads or the news that comes through, it's all negative.
Right.
The housing market's going to crash. I mean, we hear it all the time.
Right.
And clients come to us and they're saying, but why would I want to buy now? Because the market's going to crash. So it is up to us to give them that information, what's really going on in our local market. Because real estate is local.
Oh, for sure. No, being able to provide clients and people with the right information, because it's very easy to just read these different headlines and not fully digest everything that's actually going on and just have kind of like a negative view for what is going on right now. And exactly to your point, John, I mean, there is a ton of potential for people out there right now to get into their homes and to and to walk away happy. Because we talk a lot about how in a transaction for both sides to walk away happy, they both have to win. So being able to get back into a bit more of a normalized market where the buyers are having the opportunity to get their inspections or to put forward an offer that they feel good about and that they feel like everybody's walking away with a win is really a win for everybody.
And even as far as wins go, the next 8 days is a great time to grab a win. I mean, we talked about the mortgage applications being down, and they kind of tease those rates down a little bit to try to get some more applications in and buyers into the marketplace. We have people on vacations for the first time in a couple of years. They're still gone. They're going to be returning maybe beginning of September for work or for their kids to go to school. So, before those rates tick back up and we have more competition, you may as well seize the next handful of days if you're truly in the market because you may have an inside track.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So instead of being up against 6 or 8 offers, maybe you're only up against another offer where you have a better opportunity, to score 50-50 chance. I'll take that.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah. Those are not bad odds.
Right.
So then this kind of leads us into another article that was also came out from Inman. Following 6-month slowdown, the home sale boom may finally be over. So I feel like this is another, a little bit of a clickbait. So the article basically goes on to say that we've seen a little bit of a downturn in the number of homes that have gone under contract and up on the market. As we all know, when COVID hit in 2020, there was, right after that, a kind of like a standstill while we were trying to figure everything out. Then we had this incredible market and, we knew that couldn't last forever. So homes are sitting here a little bit longer. Our days on market are ticking up. And we're also seeing, in addition to the days on market going up, inventory building up a bit more as more sellers are coming into the market. I kind of felt like the heading here is leading you to think, is there a bubble that's going to burst? Like, what's going on? Yeah. When really it's just coming to a little bit more of a normal market. So with that being said, do we think that there's a bubble bursting?
The housing market, the housing bubble, it's going to explode. No, there's no. This is totally a different time than it was in 2008 when we did have a serious, the housing, the Great Recession. And that was based on the banks being insolvent. And there was an overabundance of inventory leading up to that. So, and not enough buyers. That's totally not where we are at this point. So, no, there's not going to be a crash. When we talk about houses being on the market longer, days on market, that doesn't mean that they're sitting for 60, 90 days. Now, maybe there are homes that are, and there are very few of those. And I can tell you why they're sitting there. They probably have a major defect, like the septic system has to be upgraded. So there might be a buyer that's willing to do that type of work. But the homes that are sitting on the market for that, I would call that very long term in this market. There's probably a very good reason why. Right. So it's not for your average buyer to take on those kinds of projects. the homes that are sitting a little bit longer, they could be overpriced somewhat because, sellers are the last ones to find out that the market is shifting and they still think, I'm going to get top dollar and we're going to go 100 grand over where our comps are showing.
Right.
But
I've definitely encountered that recently with some sellers, and they've had great houses, which at the end of the day is always great, right? A good house is going to sell itself. And, when we had looked at where we should go out into the market, they wanted to be way higher than really what the market was calling for. And we had to lean back on the data and really just reassure them, you have a great house. Let's look around at what you have that we're sitting in right now. The market will correct itself. So you need to be out in a price so you're going to entice buyers to come in, to create those multiple offer opportunities, to drive the price where it should be and ultimately where you want to be, and not start high based upon your ego. And the next thing you know, we're sitting on the market for 10, 17, 21 days, and then there starts to be this perception that, hey, maybe there's something wrong with the house. And vice versa, when you do see those places that are the 21 days on market, sometimes there is something wrong with the septic system, and sometimes really it's just mispricing out of the gate, and hey, go for it. I mean, I've had a lot of listing agents I've also spoken to recently where last year they were just, hey, get us your offer and get it in quick. Now they're talking, hey, let's make a deal. Just present an offer. What repairs do you want to make? Let's have that conversation. And having those conversations, I don't know about you guys, it's felt really good because like you said, both sides want to win at some level, and that opportunity is back. So that's great.
Sure. And I mean, I think, in terms of the pricing and how that kind of sets the stage for everything, I mean, I think we've all had clients that we've worked with that you're on the listing side, and sometimes their thought process is, well, let's price it over because that way if somebody comes in under, I'm still getting, the price that I want. Where, like, yes, except you're turning people away. You're kind of setting the stage not to succeed. We have statistics, we have case studies that show, pricing at the right number is going to bring in the most views, the most eyeballs, the most offers. And exactly like you said, John, a good home, that will be known by the buyers that come out here, and they will push that price up.
If you create the competition, then it can go higher. And then you get the waiving of the contingencies.
Right. Yeah. Because it also, this article also went to say that 1 in 5 sellers had to lower their price in July. So that might not, I feel like when you hear that number and you see that, you think, what's going on? But I would attribute a lot of that to people just not positioning it properly in the marketplace in order to get it sold, which then they had to go in and price correct. And we see that all the time.
Definitely see that. So if you do see a house that's sitting on the market for a little bit longer, I like John was saying, that's an opportunity. That's an opportunity for your buyers.
Absolutely.
Submit something in writing and start the dialogue back and forth.
Right.
Reach out to the listing agent, make friends with them.
Sure.
Even reach out to that listing agent before you go see the house the first time. Ask them, what feedback have you gotten? What has the pushback been? Are there any warts to the property that we should call out ahead of time? And if you get a green light and things sound pretty good after that, and then you go see the house, then you really know, hey, there might be some opportunity. And I think really that's, as far as from the consumer standpoint, that's what I would want. I would want some opportunity to kind of get what I wanted more on my terms than a year ago.
Right.
And, going back to what you had said about the pricing and kind of people are adjusting. It's just where we are now. It's like driving your car on a sheet of ice. You're going to oversteer and you have to correct, but at some point you get it straightened out. And I think that people are going to, as we move into the back end of the year, people are going to start to get a little bit more realistic about their pricing as well. And then that might bring down some of those days on market too that we've seen. So we shall see.
Well, so I guess this would kind of lead us into, given everything that we just talked about here, what do we think that means for the fall market?
Well, I'm very optimistic about the fall market. I think because just from my folks that I've been talking to recently, people are waiting until September. The kids are going back to school. They just want to get things started there. So people are waiting to list and people are waiting to buy. So I really am optimistic about a very strong, aggressive, busy fall market.
Yeah, I agree. And with that, I'm going to go back to the numbers and the people that are out shopping. It's not a surprise anymore. It's not where we transitioned out of 3% interest rates and everyone's like, oh my God, we're up to 5. I can't handle this. We're moving on. People that are getting into the market now, they've seen those numbers now for some time. They know the game they're getting into when they enter into it. And again, we're providing that additional education to let them know what the dollars and cents look like on paper. So they do know that. And then also with that, it's a great opportunity to, from an agent standpoint, to reach out to the clients that we had that we know truly did want a property or need a property, or their family's growing, or they need a new school district for their kids. They may not have wanted to talk to us 6 months ago because they didn't want to get into this, but now's a great time to call them and say, hey, there's some opportunity. Let's do it.
Right. And I think that there is always a little bit of trade-off here. So yes, interest rates have gone up. They're still historically low.
Yes.
And, when you had that 2.65% interest rate earlier on, you were competing against everyone. There were tons of offers in for the properties. There probably were different concessions that you were waiving or things that you were doing that just in order to get the home. Now, the interest rates have ticked up a little bit, but you're kind of saving on the back end with being able to put in some of these inspections to maybe not be competing against quite as many people. To maybe have a little bit of time to really figure out how you want to structure that offer and not just throw everything that you have at it. So interest rates have ticked up, but it kind of evens things out in other areas of the process and of the offer, which gives a lot of people opportunity.
And when the interest rates were low and people were waiving the inspections, well, you're setting yourself up maybe for an immediate cash outlay after you buy the property, should there have been something wrong with it.
Sure.
If you were waiving transfer taxes, or if you were picking up the seller's transfer taxes, or if you were picking up anything else financially, that was right now money. That was money that you needed to bring to the settlement table. And some people just didn't have that. Where now, you don't have to bring that immediate money. You kind of have it financed and amortized out over 360 payments.
Right.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah. So I know I'm excited for the fall market. I think for the first time in a while for both the buyers and the sellers. Like I think both sides can have great opportunity in the upcoming months, and I'm excited to see where this takes us and where we go from here. Awesome. Well, I think that kind of wraps up this segment. We're going to go to a quick commercial break here. And when we get back, Stacy is going to take the lead here with a segment from Jimmy Burgess talking about signs that your real estate career may be in trouble.
Buying a home or already own one? We can help. I am Kevin Hamill from Alliances Insurance Agency. If you haven't reviewed your policies in the last 3 years, now's the time. New home buyers, there are a number of ways that we can help you get to that settlement table. Call us to find out more at 610-816-0043, extension 3, or visit our website, alliancesinsurance.com. Don't forget the S, it's for savings.
Have you considered a career in real estate? Do you want control over your income? Whether you have a license or not, call us today at 610-692-6976 or visit TomToole.com. Join our team, the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line. I'm Tom Toole of the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line. If you're thinking of becoming a real estate agent in the greater Philly area, I have a special offer for you. Our team did $165 million of volume in 2021, making us the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania and a top 1% team nationally. Our agents love us because we offer them a successful career, a great life, and an unbeatable culture. Agents who've been with us for at least a year average 30-plus sales. Even our brand new agents average 17 to 24 sales a year. We offer proven systems and expert training. We help you set more appointments and sell more houses. Now here's the offer. If you don't have a real estate license yet, we offer real estate scholarships so you can get one for free. Check it out at realestateScholarshipProgram.com or visit the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line at TomToole.com. That's TomToole.com. Get more out of your real estate career and remember the real estate golden rule. You always get more when you work with Tom Toole.
For the best local mortgage service and great rates on your money, look no further than Mortgage America. We've been operating in the greater Philadelphia area for 40 years with a focus on smooth, easy access to home purchasing. Whether you're a first-time buyer, upsizing or downsizing, or just refinancing, we have programs for you. We also have closing cost assistance programs and access to subsidized interest rates. Pre-approval is free, no costs or commitments. To learn more, visit our website at mymortgageamerica.com or give us a call at 610-439-8000. We always have a person available to take your call with around-the-clock human service. Purchase your home with the personalized, local service you find at Mortgage America.
Mortgage America is an equal housing lender. NMLS 128501.
All right. We are back, and this is Toole Time Real Estate Radio, WWDB 860 AM. I'm Stacy Mitchell. She's Sarah Timon, and we have guest John Rabik with us. So, and we all work with the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Mainline, the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. Whoop, whoop. Isn't that exciting? So, welcome back, everybody. The next article that we've been digesting here is from Jimmy Burgess and our friend Jimmy. So, 7 warning signs that your real estate business is in jeopardy. Now, we all know that the real estate market in the past couple of years has pretty much been, plug and play, right? Mm-hmm. We've had a lot of new agents enter, myself being included. But a lot of times you get these unicorn buyers. They just come into the market. You take them out one time, you're writing offers, and you get them under contract. So it's been that way, but the market is changing. So we're going to just talk about these 7 warning signs that your business might be in jeopardy if you are one of those agents and you haven't shifted your business and your habits to make your business a long-term success. So the first warning sign is your database is not growing. So a growing database does equal growing business. We all know that because we are always actively seeking to grow our database.
Yeah, you got to build that pipeline.
Exactly. It's a constant building of the pipeline because it ebbs and flows. You add people and people go away. So you have to constantly keep up with that. So start with the basics. Do you have every one of your current and past clients in your database?
I need to be better, I think, sometimes about making sure to get Sphere people into the database because I definitely have a lot of people that I talk to, I send updates to, I talk to about real estate, but I don't necessarily actually have them in the CRM.
And your friends and family, coworkers,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm bad with that too. I don't think of certain groups of people as my sphere, and I don't know why.
Right.
I have to get past that.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat with you there. And I think one of the things we're fortunate to have with our database is when we could see the activity of our clients mm-hmm. and kind of have some indicators on when we should reach out and good times to have conversations. And, that helps us to get back on it. So even though they ebb and flow and come and go, they're never actually gone.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They're always in the database.
Always in the database.
So this is our foundation, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a house, right? We're in real estate. So you know that the house is only as strong as your foundation. So building your foundation, and that's all about the database. So once we have that foundation in place, okay, warning sign number 2, you only have one source of leads. So if you're only working on one source of leads, I don't know, we talk about the stool and mm-hmm. the pillars, our lead pillars. Definitely you have to have, because if one lead source dries up, what are you going to do? If your main lead source goes away, what would you do tomorrow?
Right. Like I think you definitely have to kind of diversify and have different ways which you reach out and interact with your clients and get new clients. And, there's things that maybe worked at one point in time and then now are not quite as effective. So rather than having your business kind of die while you address that and figure out what to do next, having multiple different channels and sources definitely is huge in kind of keeping the ball rolling and not relying too heavily on one aspect of how you get clients.
That's one of the blessings of the normalized market that we're in right now, too, is one thing that I've seen, especially this summer, is I've had some time to actually do the prospecting work that maybe a year ago we were scrambling around and doing 20 showings a day and we were wearing our shoes thin. Now we have the time to make the phone calls, speak to for sale by owners, people that want to transact that maybe are having a difficult time because they're using the iPhone 5 photos or whatever the case may be, and to onboard some new people. So I've really seen this time frame as a good way to work on some of those other avenues, not just whatever comes and roll with it.
Right.
And we're fortunate because our group does actively utilize numerous lead sources. But us on our own, we can do, and what's made a big comeback is door knocking now.
Yep.
That
Love
kind
me
of
some
dried
door
up.
knocking. Yep.
Sarah, you've been doing a lot of that, right? As a matter of fact, I just committed to door knocking for either Friday or Saturday this week, so I'm kind of excited to do that. But there's all different ways, and as John was saying, like circle dialing, some neighborhoods, and just reaching out to people that we haven't connected with in a long time and asking, let's go have some coffee, let's catch up on life.
Right.
I think people are willing to do that now because we've been shut down for so long. People are still, eager to get back to normal and do those normal kinds of things.
Right. Well, and what I thought was pretty interesting in here, which I think is a great idea and I would really love to implement, it talked about, hosting a first-time home buyer seminar and kind of bringing in clients all at once, kind of hosting, having drinks, having some snacks, and kind of just walking them through the process. Maybe you invite your mortgage lender to be there as well so that people can kind of ask questions for that. Because we always, we're good about when you first meet with a buyer, sitting there and doing the buyer's consultation and kind of breaking everything down for them. But I think in order to get to that point with somebody, you already have to have either a little bit of rapport build up or like not everybody's ready to do that right away. They almost feel like if I meet with you, like this just got so serious and I don't know if I'm there yet. Like I'm a first time home buyer and I'm just trying to dip my toe in the water. If you kind of hosted something where there were, a lot of other people that are also coming to it, it's not quite as one-on-one. It's more information gathering, like let's answer questions. Let me explain the process to you. I think that could reach a lot of people who a couple months down the line might be ready to do something, but right now it's like too much, And
I think having a lender there to answer questions too, because that people have so many questions about that, where when I meet with them, I have to pass them off to a lender.
Sure.
Because I can't answer those questions.
Right.
So having a lender there and maybe even someone going so far as like title company, because that's the other big unknown.
Right.
Yeah. And it's very confusing. And that's not my forte. I can explain it in layman's terms, but a title rep can definitely go further. I think that's great.
Yeah.
For first time home buyers, it is. It's not as committed. It's not as It's just
like
casual.
Right. Like I'm hosting this, pop one in, let's explain the process along with other first time home buyers. Like you're not, I'm not making you sign anything.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I always try to bring to my clients, especially the first time we meet, is just the education. I think that whether or not a client is going to work with you is the education that you provide up front.
Sure.
And I always try to stress to them, there are no bad questions. Whatever you want to ask it. We've heard all the questions before. And if it's something that you really aren't clear on, it's something you need to be clear on. So as we go through the process, let's do it. Let's get that done. And having the lender, having the title piece there, a lot of these people don't really understand even that they're going to be required to speak to these other parties through the process or how long the closing process takes. And if they leave with that information, and if you have something they could take on paper that also shows what you had just talked about, they're locked in on the knowledge. And that's what you have to provide.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I've been wanting to do that. We'll have to talk further.
Yeah.
Yes. The other thing, too, that a teammate of ours does is he hosts just casual get-togethers weekly at the dog park. So he set up something like a meetup or wherever those websites are in his local community. There's a local dog park, and he's like, hey, meet me down here. And people show up, and you talk about real estate or not talk about real estate. You talk about life. It's just really making connections.
Sure.
So I think that's a great, another great way for outreach, so to speak. Any others? Any other lead sources or potential outreach?
I
No?
think we covered a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. I know.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to move on. So if you're not doing those things, chances are your business might start to be drying up here. Warning sign number 3. you've stopped making outbound prospecting phone calls. Now, we've all been through these times, and mostly it's been because we're deal doctoring, right?
Right.
Because we're very busy. We're trying to keep our deals together. Because, once you get under contract, as everybody knows, it's very important to try to keep those deals together. So deal doctoring does become pretty time-consuming at times, depending on what you're dealing with at the moment. But when you stop making those outbound prospecting phone calls, you're really, it does hurt the business long term.
Right.
Because you're not touching folks, you're not following up.
Right. And I think what's tricky with that one too is you don't immediately see how it negatively impacts you. It's further down the line.
Right.
So I think it's almost easier to course correct yourself when you immediately see, I didn't do this, so now I didn't get this. It's harder when it's like, by not doing this today, this is going to affect me, weeks and months down the line. And it's very true. Like, you have to make those calls and stay on top of that, or things dry up.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I always say it's like the real estate telltale heart. Like, at the end of the day, you could tell people that you sold 3 houses this day, or you just closed on 2 other homes. But if you didn't make those calls, as a realtor, you know that you didn't make those calls. You know that you didn't put in the reps that you needed to. And it's no different than a basketball player showing up and shooting free throws for 3 hours in the morning, or Bryce Harper coming back with his hand injury and taking cuts in the cages until he's ready to go at the major league level again. You have to do it, and it's going to pay off down the road, and you always know if you're not doing it. And when you do it, even if those results don't yield anything that day, just like those athletes, it will pay off at some point. You just have to just get in the reps.
And
I
it's
love that analogy.
Yeah, no, that's great. And there is like, when you did everything that you set out to do, even if you don't get the result that day, you feel like you were successful that day. And we all know the feeling when you like cut things short or didn't do it and you're kind of like, oh, that's going to get me later.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
So that's huge.
It does. It weighs in your mind. It's like, because I didn't finish up my phone calls today. And I'm like, because I really wanted to get that done.
Yeah.
But it is true. So and there's an example here. If you have a goal to close 36 transactions in a year, this is the number. You will need to have 1,800 real estate related conversations this year. So how do you break that down? It breaks down to 150 conversations a month, and that's over 37 a week. So you have to have that constant outreach. You have to hit those people. And follow up. I mean, we talk about that all the time. Follow up is the key. Okay, so we know we have to make the calls, we have to have the conversations, and we do that most of the time. We try to, because it does hurt our heads when we don't get it done.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you had mentioned it last week, Stace. It's like, once you have that conversation, even if that conversation isn't going to mean anything for another 6 months, it's set that follow-up. Make sure that you do have another connection point down the road, and don't vanish. You've always got to be there. I've made connections with people over the phone where my check-in had nothing to do with real estate. I had a lady, her daughter played the harp in the Orlando Philharmonic, and she told me that she was going to be on a Disney show at Christmas time. So I tuned in. I saw her daughter playing harp. There's only one harp player. And that created a bond that really helped us down the road, and ultimately got her under contract with a property. But you don't just always have to talk real estate.
Right. That is a very personal thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she appreciated that you remembered that, you know. 'Cause I think that's so important. I love that. But by doing those things, the business will definitely thrive. So now we're going to go to number 4. You're living beyond your means. Are you paying your taxes? So we all know that when you get that big commission check, sometimes people want to go splurge, like buy a bunch of new clothes or go on vacation, or, I don't know, buy a new car. But it's really important that you understand, as an agent, real estate is it can be cyclical. So you're going to have highs and lows. We talked about, if you get a number of contracts, on a number of homes under contract, you're going to go through a time where, you could be deal doctoring. So things could slow down then after that.
Right.
So you want to get yourself into a place where maybe you have a couple of commission checks coming in every month, so that you feel like, okay, I know where my next paycheck's coming from. But live within your means. We see this a lot, and Tom talks about it a lot too. That especially new agents, they don't take a portion of their commission check and put it right into a different account. for their taxes, to go to their taxes, because we are self-employed. We're
Right.
1099.
Yeah.
So we have to pay attention to our write-offs and to our money.
And when you're calendaring out what your transactions look like in the future, if we're closing on sales right now for, say, late September, early October, if you're keeping track of that, you could see where your income lies, where you're going to be in those months before you get there. And then really you could even, if you wanted to, schedule your settlements accordingly if you needed to roll some into the next month and get a little start for the next month. But it's not just take it and let it fly and make it rain at the club. I mean, you got to be smart about it. You got to pay your taxes. And paying the taxes, I think, is the most important part, because you don't want to get caught on your heels and then you don't have the money there.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
The very first thing I do when I get a commission check is take the amount that's going to taxes, and that's separate. Like, I don't want to see it, and then, and you do really have to prepare for, the rainy day, or what if there were a couple things that you had under contract that you were very confident were going to go through, and then something happens. Like, things happen.
Like you can't get clear title,
right?
so you can't close.
Right. Like, nothing's
Until it's
done
clear.
until it's done.
Nothing's
So,
done
like-
until it's done. So you can't count on that commission check. You can't
Right.
spend that money before
Right.
it's actually in your hands.
Right.
So, and we do see a lot of that in our business. So yes, don't live beyond your means. I think that's a really important one. Okay, so we're going to move on to number 5. You believe your business is bulletproof. I don't know. Does anybody believe that this business is bulletproof?
I don't think so.
I don't.
I mean, I think it's, I certainly don't. And I mean, I think it's so in your face that it's what you put into it that you get out of it, and that you need to close things in order to continue. And, and as you had said, every once in a while you get like lucky, but most of this isn't luck. Most of this is follow up. Most of it is properly educating your clients. Every once in a while you get a little bit of a lucky deal in there, but for the most part,
It's hard work.
right.
And I think people come into it, with a little bit of rose-colored glasses. They think that, I'm just going to go out and show houses and
Right.
make big money. And no.
Right.
It's constant. It's a constant grind. And I don't think that this business is bulletproof. Now, maybe there are folks out there that do believe that, because maybe they've had a good, and it's, but I think anytime, nobody knows what lies ahead around the corner, things beyond our control. So you can never take it for granted and think that, this is going to be smooth sailing forever and ever.
And just as we go through this list, I mean, we have 7 topics. We're on topic 5. I think if you're honest with yourself, and I think we all are, you mentioned about not hitting all your calls that day. If you know where your weaknesses are, it's ultimately going to build to strengths down the road. I mean, if you think that you're just unbeatable, good luck. You're going to go down.
You're going to go down in flames.
In flames.
Those egos. It's definitely the ego. Ego gets in the way of a lot of things in life. Let's
for
just
sure.
put it that way. So, okay, so we're moving on. Yeah, and being humble is definitely a good place to be, especially in this business. Warning sign number 6, communication with your database is inconsistent. We go back to the database. So, yes, as John was talking about, trying to hit those calls and make a commitment to yourself to build your business, if not daily, at least 4 times a week. I know that we time block, and it's very important that, in our team, the focus is time blocking everything into the calendar. So time block that where you're going to follow up with your database, you're going to make the calls, or you're going to door knock, whatever your outreach is, but you have to do that follow up.
Right. And I think making the system work for you, like, it takes a bit of time, I feel like, initially to get everything set up the way that you wanted, and to get in and do those updates for people, and put in those reminders and those future check-in points. But when you do that, you're letting the system do a lot of the work for you, and then you're just getting in there and following through with it, and it kind of keeps things from falling through the cracks.
Mm-hmm. And if worst case scenario, do a market update.
Right.
Do an email blast. You can do a video with a market update, and I think that's great, because people can tune in and find out what's going on real quick.
Right.
If you can't make that phone call.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that what you had mentioned about video, that's a great way for outreach, because sometimes I know one of the things that I don't like is if you get past settlement on a house, I mean, you want to keep that communication with your past client. But if some time passes, you kind of have an awkwardness to it. So you need that, okay, well, what are we going to talk about now? So video, it's not something when I started in this almost 2 years ago now, what I've thought that I would utilize. But video is a great touch point, and it's at a personal level where I feel like I almost always get a response back, whether it's just a simple text, video, and all in for that.
Yeah, I think so too, because it is personal. People can see you, they hear your voice, and and it brings back all that you know, everything that you've worked together before. It brings it back, I think, as a personal, very personal touch. Yep. So, yeah, we check in text once a quarter, if not more. Monthly newsletters, we talked about that. We think that that's great. And definitely the CRM keeps us on point. So communication leads to conversations, that's for sure. Conversations lead to contracts, right? We're all in agreement to that. Okay, so we're moving on to the last one. You've stopped growing personally. Wow, this is a good one. This is a good one. Because it is true. This business, it can eat us up, right? It can totally take over. And you kind of lose yourself in the process because you're trying to get everything done for everybody else.
Right.
So in order to continually grow personally, are we learning new skills? You know, are we doing some new trainings? What are we doing to improve ourselves? Are we searching for better ways to serve our clients? Do we read? Are we watching videos, listening to podcasts? What are we doing to continually grow as not only people, but as professionals too?
Right.
One thing I've seen is in this job, the transactions themselves don't allow you to not continue to learn because there's so many things that could come out of right field, left field. You just don't know where it's coming. It's like a ninja movie. Some days you're just kind of reacting as they come your way and you handle it. But guess what? Next time you're faced with that same situation, then you got it handled. So ultimately, you're helping your clients in those situations.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Continuing.
Well, and I mean, yeah, some of the things that you learn in these transactions, like you wouldn't even be able to like think of as like a question, like going into this, like, would this ever happen? You're just like, where did that come from? You know? So yeah, even the deals that go awry or like, unfortunately, some of the ones that end up terminating for whatever reason, like you always take something from that. Whether it be like a lesson or like how to do something differently next time, or just like how to maybe pre-qualify someone differently the next go around, or if you start to see some red flags, be able to like, I've seen this before, like how do we get there? So yeah.
You can maybe hopefully ward it off the next time.
Right.
That which does not kill us can only make us stronger, right?
That's what they say.
But it is true. I mean, every day we learn something new. I do anyway in this business. It's fascinating to me, and I love it. But other ways that I do personally is, I always try to pick out some kind of reading material that's non-related to real estate, do some kind of physical activity. We all stress that kind of stuff, workout. You have to get rid of that stress because it is very stressful, this business.
That's one of the nice things about our team, too, is we have such a high level of agent that we are surrounded with at all times. I've learned so much just from fellow agents and listening to kind of their approaches to answering questions and handling clients that may not be the way that I would have gone in with, but you just constantly pull from everyone around you, and it just makes you a stronger agent overall.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and that was a point on here. What should people be looking for in a company or organization that they can connect with, and where they would want to work? And that's a good point right there. All right. So that wraps up segment number 2. We're going to come back and we're going to talk with John Rabik. We're going to ask him some personal questions, how he got into real estate, all that good stuff. But you are listening to Toole Time Real Estate Radio, WWDB 860 AM.
You shouldn't have to deal with all the red tape when getting your mortgage from a big or online bank. At Mortgage America, we have access to big bank money, but with the personalized and detailed service of a local bank. We are here in your community and ready to serve with fast settlements, low down payment options, and first-time homebuyer programs. Pre-approval is free, no costs or commitments. For more information, visit our website at mymortgageamerica.com or give us a call at 610-439-8000.
Mortgage America's equal housing lender. NMLS 128501.
The Tom Toole Sales Group is the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania with over $165 million in volume for 2021. I'm Tom Toole, and our team has achieved that kind of success by being a great place to work with and to work for. No one knows Greater Philly better than we do. We know real estate, but more importantly, we're real people. We hire the best agents, and we give them all the tools to succeed. Even our brand new agents sell 17 to 24 homes a year because our team delivers the best experience in real estate. Teams deliver a better experience than individuals, and we're a top 1% real estate team in the country. We call it AAA service. We're your advocate, ally, and advisor. Because this isn't a transaction to us, it's a relationship. If you're buying or selling a home, call the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX main line at 610-692-6976 or visit tomtoole.com. That's tomtoole.com. Sell your home for more, and remember the real estate golden rule. You always get more when you work with Tom Toole.
Buying a home or already own one? We can help. I am Kevin Hamill from Alliances Insurance Agency. If you haven't reviewed your policies in the last 3 years, now's the time. New home buyers, there are a number of ways that we can help you get to that settlement table. Call us to find out more at 610-816-0043, extension 3, or visit our website, alliancesinsurance.com. Don't forget the S, it's for savings.
Have you considered a career in real estate? Do you want control over your income? Whether you have a license or not, call us today at 610-692-6976 or visit tomtoole.com. Join our team, the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX main line.
All right. Welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio here on WWDB 860 AM. I am Sarah Timon. We've got Stacy Mitchell, and we have teammate John Rabik. Welcome back, everyone. For this last segment here and for the last couple minutes of the show, we just kind of want to go through with you, John, and tell our audience a little bit more about what you were doing pre-real estate and kind of what led you into this field.
Sure, no. So I'm from Philadelphia originally, South Philly, born and raised. I live in the Roxborough section of the city now. So a lot of my clientele that I have is in the city limits, and I love that. We could talk about the history of the city and kind of what each individual neighborhood brings. That's important to a lot of different people. And before I got into this, I had been in the sports apparel industry for 22 years on the sales side. Got into sales after a brief stint in retail. I worked with some sports brands that you might know, one local here, Mitchell & Ness. I worked with Rabik. I worked with 47 brand. And while working with Mitchell & Ness, and I worked in the retail store, that's what really got to me as far as having that interaction with customers or clients. There was no 2 days that were the same. Whoever walked in the front door, they might want a different product. It might be a day after an Eagles win and everybody's hyped up about that. No 2 days were the same. And I think we see that a lot here. And that's one of the reasons I really was interested in real estate was no two clients are the same, no two transactions are the same, no two properties are the same, but you want to help these people out and you want to win. We all want to win. So,
right.
That's ultimately what it goes back to. So a lot of my skills that I had from sales within the apparel industry, they just translate over. And at the end of the day, it's doing right by your clients. Whether I was selling hats to a store or whether I'm helping a person get a house, you want to have a level of trust. You want to bring education. You want to bring the most value to them. And you want to let them know that you have their backs at all times.
Yeah.
And that's what I love to do.
Yeah, being authentic and, ethical and just help guiding people through the whole transaction. So as you, I guess, was real estate something you were thinking about doing for a bit before you actually took the jump and made the move into it?
Well, it's interesting. Before I got into the sports apparel industry, I was actually an architecture major.
Okay.
So as an architecture major, I was also playing baseball. The two really didn't jive. So then I wound up getting a business degree. But I've always kind of had a passion for homes and buildings. Okay. And that was just another kind of, that's, the non-personal aspect that we deal with is just the homes. It's great. I mean, I love to go into Chestnut Hill and talk about the architecture that's there, or go down to Society Hill or explain to people down in South Philly, hey, we have two types of row homes normally. We have 1,100 square foot or 1,400 square foot. They were built in 1900, 1920, or 1925. Like when you could connect those dots and then not only talk about the homes, but just kind of weave it into the story of the city so that the people don't feel as though they're just buying a house. They are then ingraining themselves into the history of the people that lived in that property before them, what was here in the city. And at the end of the day, I always, even though the city has changed somewhat, I always try to remind them we are still a blue-collar city. And, the fact that we have a reputation as sports fans, that we're kind of ugly and want to fight, I try to bring that into people too, especially the ones that are from out of town. Like they need to know where they stand when they come into our
You're in
home.
Philly now.
That's it. You're in Philly now. That's what it is.
Proud of that reputation.
And then now you have 4 kids.
Yes.
Not just 4 kids.
I have 4 little girls.
Yes.
4 little girls.
So my youngest is 4 and my oldest is 15.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I have my hands filled, and again, it's like a ninja movie at my house.
I bet.
They're coming at you from all different directions. They're
yeah.
asking you for, you name it. Their feet are always growing. You're always buying new sneakers. Go figure. But
Do you ever get into the bathroom? Like, I just want to know about that.
yeah, sometimes I will try to hide in the basement with the lights off, but they always find me. And I think some of the, a couple of the more rewarding showings that I've had have actually been fun showings where I might have been in a pinch and didn't have somebody to watch the kids, and I took them over summer vacation to a new construction showing, and I said, hey, listen, you guys sit over there, be quiet, do your thing. But they were fascinated to see all the different choices that you have as far as tile you could put in the bathroom and sound systems. And it really opened their eyes, and they got to see a little bit about what I do.
Future agents.
They,
love it.
they
In
the
could be. They
making.
love to talk. That's for sure.
Where does that come from?
So schedule-wise, from when you were in the sports apparel business before to then now, like switching into real estate, did you have a couple of hurdles that you had to kind of go over, trying to balance family life and work life and getting all of that organized and in place?
Sure. And there's definitely benefits and struggles. So I think to an outsider that's really doesn't know what we do every day, they think we have this super flexible lifestyle, that we're smoking cigars, sitting at the pool. But what they don't understand is really we truly work bartenders' hours. Our go time is when people are off from work. So nights and weekends are when we're at the top of our game. And going back to what we spoke about in earlier segments, it's that daytime portion that is prospecting, learning, communicating with our clients. So you do have to kind of weave in and out the family life. And you have to understand as an agent, when you get into this, if you want to be successful and you want to make money, you've got to go, and you've got to go all the time, or else you're not going to get what you want. But when you start to get that and you push the envelope on a daily basis, you also start to figure out, okay, well, where can I get the personal time? And it starts to become a little clearer when to put that in, and makes everything great.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Well, it's awesome having you on the team.
Yes. Yes.
I just love, and talk about authentic. He is
Absolutely.
definitely authentic.
Oh,
I love
I learn a lot from you guys all the time, so
And
thank you.
sounds like we're starting to get played out here. So everyone, thank you for tuning in to Tom Toole Real Estate Radio here on WWDB 860 AM. If you want to reach us by email, you can get us at info@tomtooleradio.com. Find us on Facebook at the Tom Toole Sales Group, and you can find us on social media. Tom's at Tom3RD. I'm at Time, TY_TYTIME. We got Stacy at the number 2 Mitchko, and we have wonderful teammate and guest. Thank you for joining us, John, here at john.rabik.realtor. Thanks so much for tuning in. See you next week.